Alright, anyway. Here's Super Metroid, the culmination of what we've been doing the past couple weeks. I know we're doing Metroid Fusion next week, but it is clearly separate from these other three, I think. Just in terms of when it came out and what it was attempting to get done. Alright. Because you can fix your controls for this game, I've always just learned to play with custom controls. I have no idea what the default controls are.
I remember trying to play with the default controls when this game was released on 3DS, and it was atrocious. I could not handle it. It was so weird. Too used to like an extra 20 years of evolution of controls in video games.
I bumped the sound for Super Metroid, by the way, so we can hear the game instead of us, mostly. Hopefully that should be good, but people in the chat can let me know. And the stream should, in theory, be a lot smoother now. I'm working off of one monitor tonight, and I don't have all of my equipment, because I unboxed this at like 4 o'clock today. Is that 10% more game volume or 10% more of speakers?
I think it's game volume because I'm not getting anything.
Alright. I can do that.
Or at least I'm only getting what's on Twitch. I'm not getting anything through Skype.
That might be me. Hold on. There, Skype folks are now getting it through Skype.
Okay, good. Okay.
Anyway, this is recapping in the Super Metroid engine the events of Metroid 1 and 2. And I thought for the longest time that that was just how Metroid looked like, because this is the first game in the series I played. Despite this game's popularity, as we're getting started here, by the way... Oh, and hold on, I promised Dana that we would save here, so that when she gets here, she has a lot to say about this area specifically. So, we will come back to it. In any case, the game did not actually sell that well when it was released, despite the fact that it's really awesome, and it came out too late in the Super Nintendo's lifespan. This is a 94 game, so you're looking at like almost a full 5 years after Mario World and Zelda: Link to the Past. The station here is eerily empty. You can see the fallen people.
This was back in the era when Nintendo was still a little iffy with the games they were releasing on their system, so I was impressed that you can clearly see those people are dead in that room. You can see the blood on their sprites.
That's right, yeah. This is the first game that's like the post-censorship era of Nintendo. People who are me and Jarel's age remember playing Mortal Kombat on the Genesis and then on the Super Nintendo, and it's like they just sweated a bunch on the Super Nintendo. And actually, Street Fighter 2 has the same problem. Also, as I'm running through all this game's hard. The first thing they do is shove you a challenge where people will die doing this. This is not just a gimme. But yeah, there were people who had already moved on to the Sony PlayStation by the time this came out. Oh, one of my few breaks here. Hold on, gotta open my beer of the night. If we understand Zelda as an experiment in telling the player where to go with each subsequent game, this game represents the opposite philosophy. How far can you go with telling the player absolutely nothing and still communicate a story of what's going on? You get almost no direction this entire game.
So I've replayed this game once, like, at least once a year, if not more. And one of my favorite parts of it is just this section, because the atmosphere alone is just...
Yeah, this is, in case you've forgotten it from last week, where we fought Mother Brain at the end of Metroid 1. And we're going to come down, and actually in Zero Mission, if you go back, we didn't do it last week, but I mentioned it was possible, you can actually come down here and take this elevator in Zero Mission as well, as a tribute to Super Metroid. But you arrive back at the beginning of Metroid 1, and Mother Brain is situated just above you then. The movement mechanics for this. By the way, every little item I get, every missile tank, every energy tank, plays the full jingle in this game, so we're going to be hearing that a lot. More than any platformer, I think, in existence, this game specifically has the smoothest movement mechanics of anything I've ever played. So you can do things like morph right as you hit the ground and maintain the momentum to go faster, which I'll be using once to kind of break the game in an unintended way to bypass something. And you've seen me wall jump a couple times. This next area after this hallway is known as the climb, because it can be done, hopefully, with repeated, very, very quick wall jumps. Alright, respectable.
I have yet to try that for myself, so mad respect for being able to pull it off. And I see speedrunners do it all the time.
Yeah, you can explore a lot of other places, but eventually you've got to come in here and get the bombs. And just like all the other Metroid games we've played, I'm running along close to an optimal route of sorts, so that we can finish the game by around 11 o'clock. But it takes the average player around 7 or 8 hours to get through it the first time. Karen, are you still on the call?
Yeah, we're here.
Okay, stream was worried about you. Alright, here we go.
I've never seen that Torizo's head melt like that.
So, you can skip that cutscene. If you shoot 5 times with the pea shooter and then only use missiles, you won't see his head come off. This room in speedrunning community is known as Alcatraz. But you can get out that way and it's a lot faster than going the normal intended bomb route.
Yeah, so the thing about his head is just another thing about this game, in that every single time I play it, I still find something I never knew about. It's incredible the amount of things that are just in this. To be found, to be picked up, hidden away, squirreled away.
Yeah, well, hopefully I have a couple of those for you, Jarel. This is one of the games I return to often. Gonna have to farm a missile or two. That's okay. Here, we'll do it here. There we go. I skipped getting a few extra missiles because that jingle takes forever and we already have to hear it so many times. So this is a new Brinstar theme here compared to Metroid 1. And this has become the main theme of the franchise. It kind of solidified by Metroid Prime's borrowing of it. Though, the GameCube game does use both this and the NES's Brinstar themes in different places. And this gets me super missiles a little bit early, which is good. I could skip a boss that has the super missiles, and we'll see if I do it or not. I might circle back and do it once Dana arrives, because she had stuff she wanted to say about that particular boss. So for now, we might just press onward, and I'll loop back here later. That doesn't waste too much time. By the way, as a weird random thing, waggling your arm up and down while you run is faster. Nobody knows why, but it is. It's mechanically faster to do it that way. And yes, I'm gonna skip Spore Spawn. We'll come back for him. Oh, never mind, I think. Let's see.
Okay, Google, turn on the living room lamp.
Okay, turning on the LR lamp.
Hey, Dana.
Hi.
All right, there we go. So, good news, bad news. I
Yeah.
can't get Skype's video to work, but the stream can hear you now on the new computer. And for the sake of time, we just went. I was going to skip Spore Spawn and come back, but since you arrived and I'm in the room that has him, we're going to go back up.
Yeah, go for it. Oh man, this is my favorite track in the whole game. Bum, bum.
Oh, I need to re-up the volume of it. Skype just messed with it.
Yuri.
Sorry, stream friends. Hold on. Alright, folks on the stream, let me know if I fixed it, and then we'll keep going. But yes, this track is excellent. Alright.
Bum, 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 bum. So good.
Alright. Karen tells me that I've frozen. Oh, Dana, I think I just have you.
Why,
Hold on a
hello?
sec. Hold on, Dana. I'm gonna hang up on you and add you to the other call, or maybe I'll add.
Okay.
Maybe I'll add actually Karen and Jarel to this call. We'll figure it out.
I don't think he's seeing it.
Hey, I see it.
There we go.
Okay.
I need to add Dana to this call. She called me and superseded you guys for a second.
Yeah.
All right, everybody back in?
I am here.
Yep.
Do we have Dana?
Dana?
Hi.
Yay, okay.
There
Oh,
is no Dana.
And the
Only-
damn volume keeps
You know.
changing.
one of these years, that's going to be my Halloween costume.
Yeah.
But orange lame is
Okay.
hard to find.
We talked about this track last week because Zero Mission borrows it for the one boss that looks exactly like this.
Hell yeah.
And it's really freaky, I think, to have a weird piano track in the middle of your science fiction stuff.
It's very Twilight Zone-y.
Yes, it is. I will say that most speedruns skip this boss because he has a ton of health, as much as like one of the big 4 bosses, and all he gives you is the super missiles. And so if you can obtain those another way, you rarely hear this track. It shows up one more time in Meridia as well, but that is hopefully going to be a very quick fight. So it's better to listen now while it takes some time.
It's like such like an electric piano too. It's like not even trying to sound like a.
I think it complicates the planet a little bit though, because like this piano track is suddenly in the middle of my science fiction adventure soundscape with those creepy strings going on.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a really nice moment musically.
I dig how everything goes like old Western colors here.
Yeah,
Like old photographs.
it's interesting how you kind of just annihilated the ecosystem by killing that guy.
I know, right?
Yeah, you ass.
Well, we're gonna pay the price for wrecking an ecosystem next week, right? That's the whole plot of Metroid Fusion.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my god, I dig silence so much. I said this last week.
Oh yeah, I forgot to stop for that. I'll stop at the next stream it happens. That's one of those that
It's good.
recurs.
Oh my gosh.
Alright, so now we go down. And as I was about to do earlier, we jump through here. And on
This
we
track
go.
is just like the definition of cool. Every single layer in it is cool.
I agree. Alright, I skipped missile tanks earlier, so I'm gonna get this one. Hi, Doug, by the way. Good practicing earlier, by the way. I heard your Bach on marimba. That was really good.
Oh, I watched one of those Baki's 3 a while ago. It was so good.
I've actually started leaving Doug's stream just on my TV when I'm home, like all the time. It's just it's,
Awesome.
Doug, you need to stream more for me, please. Thank you.
Yes, just all the time.
Oh, I laughed and I hit my
Be one of those
button the wrong way.
people that just like records your whole life on Twitch.
Alright, if I was really good at this game, and wanted to go in an order that would shock and confuse Dana, I could go up here and fight Fantoon first. But you have to do a crazy wall jump.
This game, it doesn't bother me. It's only Link to the Past that I was really thrown. In this one, I don't know. I feel like the music covers enough ground that it doesn't throw me too much.
The deal
Also,
with
I'm
it,
sorry, you were going to fight Fantoon with like 20 missiles and 5 super missiles? Are you crazy?
It's possible. Technically, Gravity Suit first is the fastest way through this game. Now, I can actually...
Hey.
I can climb all of Red Brinstar. What I'm not good enough to do is jump the moat without gear.
Oh yeah. See, this one doesn't have the stupid trill in it.
That's right, there's no stupid trill here.
I was
I
thinking
like
about this,
The
actually,
melody
but-
here seems more playful than it does in previous games.
Yeah.
Do you think it's the timbre of the beeps?
It's like somebody's playing with an old dial tone phone.
Yeah, it is.
A sound my students have never heard.
Did you ever just
Oh
like
God, Karen, we're all old.
try to play a song on your dial tone phone and then hang up so it didn't call anyone? That's totally a thing I used to do.
It may have just been you.
You know what, chat? Tell me I'm not the only one. Validate me.
You are definitely not the only one. And the thing is, like, I still have phone numbers memorized because people used to actually memorize phone numbers that I know by melody.
8675309.
Not that one. Aside from that one.
So that cutesy wall jump I just did is actually required to get in here early. Either that or a bomb jump, but that's slower. This is the game's first boss. I'm supposed to take that elevator down before I come up, but again, we go fast today.
I hate those things.
Fast-ish.
Even the sound they make there. Mini crate.
Yeah, he's in as a decoy, because that is actual Kraid's size in Metroid 1, the NES game. And so they're throwing you off by putting kind of Kraid there.
You're like, oh, that was easy.
And then you run into this.
That's right. Now, stream rules, I save every boss. This is easy, but I don't want to mess it up.
God, the chromaticism of this game, I live for it. Ma, 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 ma.
Yeah, the boss theme here is very chromatic. Ah, no quick kill, that's okay. It's possible to, like, glitch him out and kill him immediately. We're not doing it tonight.
I do like that more of his. I think that's just such an excellent sound.
Yeah.
It sounds kind of like Jurassic Park dinosaurs. Got a lot of depth to it.
Oh, come on. There we
How
go.
surprised are we that we have Doomy strings here? Because we have an I wasn't expecting a string sample there comment.
Yeah.
And to which I'm just like, I don't know, like Verdi Requiem Mass much.
By the way, as a quick aside, note no shoulder pads right now. And once we get the Varia, just like in the Game Boy game that introduces them,
You're gonna have cool stuff.
and have cool
It's
spiked
spikes.
shoulder pads. Yep.
I am kind of sad that this boss theme for Kraid, also used for Fantoon in this game, if I remember correctly,
That's
doesn't
right.
really get used anymore in the franchise. Like, Ridley's theme is all over the place, but they really didn't use this again, except in Zero Mission. Like, I missed this song.
Bring it back.
Yeah, I actually agree. I think it's a really good boss theme. It's really loud and chaotic, and it's a good, like, distracting piece of music for the boss.
Yeah. So we were talking about all the vocality last week, and the kind of this one adds the little oh. They're just there as a little commentary though. They're not quite as prominent as they are in Zero Mission.
Yeah. Once I get back to that elevator, by the way, Dana, do you want me to save state and go back to Ceres Station for you?
You know, wherever floats your boat, and actually, it's all the stuff I've got actually starts from the very beginning, so you don't even need to save state.
Huh, okay. Well,
Yeah, it starts like with the title screen and everything. So.
Alright, I'll save here, and we'll reset.
Cool.
And
I'll be like, welcome to Super Metroid.
right, yeah, have at it. And then I'll load
Okay.
the save state.
Okay, so right off the bat, we just have like the friggin' creepiest ever moment where you're just like, it's revealing little bits and pieces of what happened to everybody in the station, you know, because like you can see now, oh hey, that's not great. Everybody's laying on the floor, and it's all just like atmospheric effects, right? It's like the sound of the Metroid, and it's not super melodic. It's just kind of a drone. Not very much is happening. Then if you want to, I guess, trigger the opening cutscene.
Yeah, I can do that.
You? I also love her little, like,
Last Metroid.
like Darth
in
Vader breathing at the beginning there.
The galaxy is
This might be the first voice sample that sounds decent.
Good.
Yeah.
So we have the typing sound effects.
The choir here is really good.
Far away choir with a very active bass line going on. So I'm mostly pointing out texture here because the section of my disc that talks about this is looking at the contrast between the really busy soundscapes and silences, or what I refer to as kind of these implied silences, where it drops down to mostly just atmospheric effects. So it's not actually silent, but it kind of conveys that to you. And how that juxtaposition is something that's meant to cause anxiety and or straight up panic.
By the way, that dun 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 dun, it comes back in Metroid Prime right when you land on Talon 4, and I'm gonna have to bring that up next week for Metroid Fusion, which was released on the same day as Prime.
So we get a nice little recap of everything. It's already in just the title screen, and then this kind of like darkly heroic, this like, I think I call this a trumpet sample.
I've been labeling all the instruments most of the time. I know that I should do sound channels for sometimes, but if I'm talking about an instrument timbre, like in the Final Fantasy VI opera stuff, I need to say this is operatic because of how they use the flute, right? Like,
yeah. Mellophone, I like that. Definitely some kind of brass.
Yeah.
But it's very, I don't know, it's kind of derpy.
Yeah, and anyway, then we go back to Ceres Station, right? And it's all ambient and silent.
Mm-hmm. And I love that. You hear how that drops out to just
The typing. Yeah.
It's definitely this oh shit moment. So in even the film literature, the theory behind what Claudia Gorbin talks about the different types of silences, and true non-diegetic silence is really rare, where everything drops out, because we read that as like, oh crap, what happened to the game? Like,
right.
So we have to have something. Right. So here we just have this faint technological calm. And you're like, okay, the station was under attack. And if you were really paying attention, you'd be like, well, I already know the scientists are dead because they showed me on the main screen.
Right, because up here, and then I'll load back to where we were, by the way. But when we get to this room, this is the title screen room.
Yes, and you're like, okay.
Except the Metroid is missing, right?
Yeah, the Metroid's missing now.
And it's in there with Ridley.
Yeah, so the chapter that I then go into, how that leads into the Ridley boss battle theme, which is, I think, 10-8. Bum, 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 bum,
Yeah.
So the unstable meter is, and the intensely packed soundscape, it's very texturally dense and rhythmically dense, is meant to just like go, oh my god, I'm boiling over with anxiety now. Before it was just like a slow simmer with the silences, and then they, threw you for a loop here and cause you to freak out, and then that scene continues while you're trying to escape, and then that's stressful, and there's a timer on it. So that's essentially the quick and dirty version of one of my early chapters, where I'm just kind of describing different functions of sound and giving examples of ways sound gets used in games, because you have to have that sort of chapter, especially for any non-Ludomusicologists on the channel.
Right, yeah. Very cool.
It's probably the stuff that'll get cut when I try to turn it into a book. I'm always going to be like kind of protective of these chapters and excited with the, I spent a lot of time on them, and I'm happy with how they turned out, but
Yeah.
they're going to turn into other things. I have other games that I'm going to slot in and just condense.
I don't think
chapters.
my dissertation is ever going to be a book. I think I'm going to end up doing 2 articles out of it, and then that'll be the end of it.
Well, not everybody's dissertation becomes a book, right?
That's right.
That's finding it for publications, no matter what, is a good thing.
Yeah, I confess that I've purposely waited on one of those articles to get published until I started my job so that I can look like I've published a lot in my first year at work.
That makes sense. Whereas I'm just like, yeah, I'll be in this other thing. I'm doing everything, like, whenever I get asked. I need to start saying no.
Alright, I need a vote from the people on Skype with me. Do I go down for Crocomire and the grappling beam, or do I skip that?
You always go down.
Well, there you go.
All men, just, that's my advice.
I don't know what to do with that. Okay.
Well, you heard her.
Yep, we will go do Crocomire.
Go for it.
I'm not even gonna step into that. That's just...
Just gave me a very freaked out face. See, he can only hear me, too, so that's the best part.
So there's one thing I really like about the opening to this game, and it's something a lot of people pick up on subconsciously, but people don't come back to think about, is the fact that the opening spends so much time drilling into you what the baby Metroid sounds like. The constant chirps initially, and the fact if you hit start to like skip straight to the title screen, it still takes you to the title screen, so you still hear the chirps. It won't let you go into like the save menu yet.
Yeah, you have to know what it sounds like to play the game.
Yeah, so that for the people who aren't familiar with the plot, when everything happens down the line, they know exactly what happened without the game having to like explain it to you with any kind of text or extra stuff like that. So
yeah,
that was really smart on their part.
Yeah, I like that a lot, and I hadn't thought about the importance of the sound early on. That's awesome.
It's great induction, that's like one of the best uses of sound is when it's serving this narrative function. It's also, it's teaching you something that's useful in gameplay. Mm-hmm. It's useful to recognize that sound when it comes up.
Oh, no. Well, I can do this. Hold on.
I've always sucked at bomb jumping.
I'm pretty good at it, actually. But not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, one more try. That's not too high. There it is. The platform moved on me the last time. Not even fair.
Not even fair.
There we go.
There we go.
I am not good at double bomb jumping, for what it's worth. I think that's really hard.
I'm not good at any of the tricks that would make one a good speedrunner of this game.
I only ever got bomb jumping in this game after like years and years, and I can't tell you right now exactly what the trick is. I know it in my head. I know it in my fingers when I'm playing. Yeah, it's a timing, and I'm easiest able to do it based on actually the music, which really only works for like Criteria when you get like the early energy tanks. I don't really know the beats well enough to time it and any other ones. Mm. But with some of the songs, you can time it based on like directly on the beat. Just hit the button with the beat and you'll be fine.
Huh. This sounds a little bit like a dissertation chapter of Ryan's.
I've never thought about it that way. It does sound like one of my dissertation chapters. But for me, like, Okay, let me show you
Music
while I'm
teaching you the
standing
game
here.
and the game teaching you the music in a way. I mean, it's both simultaneously.
I know it when I see it every time.
Like
That's
porn.
it. Yes, exactly like pornography. Thank you, Dana. I just have that feeling, like I know once I've accomplished it correctly, that it will work, and then I just have at it. And I've memorized the timing for each of the Metroid games where it's possible.
Yeah.
Though bomb jumping's usefulness in terms of time is very limited. It slows you down very much. The one exception to that is if I wanted to do Phantoon first, which Jarel hinted I'm not actually good enough to do, like I'm gonna lose more energy in missiles. If I wanted to run that route that Zost runs to finish the whole game in 26 minutes or whatever, you have to do that, and I'm not good enough. I'll talk about that screen when I get there.
Here it is again.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you get the same music here for Crocomire.
You're so cruel. He's just over there brutally getting murdered by the lava he's falling into, and you just like, forget this. I got an energy tank to get.
That's right. There he is. Yeah, you see him. See? Also, as an aside, Doug, yes, that's bad. You should do that. So this freaked me out as a kid because, not because he comes at you necessarily, but watch how it happens. The spikes come at you.
Yeah. So cool looking though. Yeah, this game scared the crap out of me as a child. And a lot of it's soundscape. You know, when I ended up writing what was silence paper and then became, you know, early this chapter part, a piece of that was just like, let me play around in a game sport that unsettled me a lot when I was younger and figure out what about the sound was doing that. Oh, I have a kitty. Hello.
Okay, I'm jealous. I want to go to a Harry Potter concert.
Yeah, it's weird. It's the Chamber of Secrets, and I saw a poster for it today at school, and I just happened to notice it and threw it on my calendar as a thing that I might do.
Nice.
Perfect.
Without knowing.
Now you
that.
have even more incentive to go.
Yeah, right. I was just gonna say, like, I had no idea I would know somebody playing in it or whatever have you, but there you go.
Molly missed me.
Oh my gosh, no.
Oh man. You're gonna fall off my lap.
Aw, kitty friend.
It's very
All right.
comfortable sometimes.
Bomb jumping is good to fix your mistakes. By the way, I have not come down here in years. Crocomire, that boss, is totally skippable because grappling beam, if you're good at wall jumps and bomb jumps, is totally superfluous. You don't need it in the slightest.
Funny cat.
In fact, I will demonstrate to you now, because going back up this way is much faster than doing all the, like, the grappling beam tutorial rooms that exist down there. You can just ascend this wall, and up you go.
I'm laughing at the ridiculousness of this cat.
I will say one cool thing I learned piecing together this route. Jarel mentioned that, like, it's impossible to know everything about this game. You're gonna learn something every time you play. This is what I learned. Gotta go down again. If I get that charge and make it work, I can skip doing mock ball to get the ice beam, because you come out, crap, right at the ice beam. So I lied, grappling beam has a use. There you go. And it's to get out of that lava pit without taking a lot of lava damage. There we go.
But in order to make that trick work, you have to be able to do this too. So
That's right, and this, I admit, is a trick.
So now remembering just how many vocal samples are in this game, I think it's just more that Zero Mission brought them forward in the texture in a different way.
Yeah,
But they're
I think so
definitely
too.
not inventing that vocality. They're just making it a bigger part of everything.
That's correct. Yeah, so it turns out if you're going to get Grapple Beam, the correct way to do it is to skip Ice Beam early and then come get it at this loop instead. Oh, come on. There. And now we are done in Norfair for now. We're just gonna head back up.
Excuse me. Yeah.
All right. Every elevator, I get to have a drink. It's really nice.
What is the nature of your beverage this evening?
It is the creamy dark Leinenkugels.
Ah. Very
But-
exciting.
The Leinenkugels website, by the way, has a recipe for chili using that beer, and it is excellent.
I put beer in my chili, but I have to be careful about guarding its secrets.
I usually throw beer in chili, unless I have, like I'm doing it for Friday night dinner and I have gluten-free people coming.
Yeah,
I made that mistake once. I was like, shit. Beer,
I've never actually considered throwing a beer in chili. That's
it's real good.
Oh,
mm,
Yeah,
like
it's-
dark beer.
I'll have to
like
try
it's-
that.
it's
A dark beer is excellent in chili. We could go in that power bomb room, by the way, but it wastes a lot of time, and I've decided we can afford to skip the X-ray scope this run. That climb, by the way, is technically possible with no ice beam. You can just straight up do it. It's very difficult. This room, by the way, is where you normally get power bombs if you skip the grappling beam, but we only need 5 power bombs to finish the game, so we're just gonna move on.
on the one hand, this is great to watch, but on the other, it's driving me crazy because, like I mentioned to you earlier, whenever I play a Metroid game, I always 100% it. I never really speedrun it, so watching you skip everything is just like, ugh.
Yeah. Well, the main reason I do it is so that we can finish at 11 o'clock, right?
Yeah, which is good.
Oh, so again, Jarel mentioned I'm not good enough to fight Fantoon. That is absolutely correct. The secret to me running this game is I suck at that particular boss. So we're coming back to the ship to save and to refill my health.
I like how it was such a subtle comment and Ryan's like really lashing onto it.
That was not even part of the implication when I made that comment. He's just going with it.
No, I am, because you're going to see that, A, that boss actually does suck, and B, I suck at doing it.
I should note that I'm not arguing your complaint. I do think that gonna die horribly to this, but I at least wasn't the one to bring it up. Is the important thing.
I have enough stuff now. Oh, well, you know what? I don't need to speed boost you there. It's okay that I lost my charge, because, guess what? I have the grappling beam. Normally, most people who play this game a lot will speed boost over this lake. And not suck at life. Hold on. There we go.
Grappling hook is so fun. That's the reason you get the grappling hook, is it's fun.
Alright, well, there is something cool you can do to skip it here. There. No grappling hook needed. It turns out if you, from a stopped point, if you hold the run button before you hit move, it takes longer to build a speed charge than if you run for 2.5 tiles and then press the button. And that is useful in that one particular spot, among others. There are more complex...
I was gonna say, I'm appreciating this area more after last week.
Oh yeah, because Zero Mission recontextualizes this really smartly.
It's cool.
I think that's one of the single best things about the remake, honestly. Because otherwise, with just Super Metroid, you feel kind of... Hold on, gotta save for this boss. You feel like the wrecked ship doesn't really have a lot of history because it wasn't part of Metroid 1, and so they just made it part of it. Alright. This is, I think, the game's hardest boss, no joke.
I've watched many a speedrun on Twitch, and including the GDQs, where they actually die out speedruns specifically to this boss when they have no problem with anybody else.
Chris, this is boss number 2 of 4, if that helps. I still have Dragon and Ridley to do. But we're moving right along. This is about halfway.
Every single boss in this game stresses me out. Except for Score. That's about it.
Oh, I'm a shot
Maybe
short.
great.
That's okay.
Ugh, this one has always creeped me out.
So,
like,
if you hit the
bloody
boss with a super missile
around
and
the
he
eye.
doesn't die, what you have to do is charge a beam and you get like a fake screw attack that'll let you jump through all those without getting hit. Otherwise, you will die.
that's cool to know.
But this is the one time, like, the cutesy fake screw attack is really useful. Because you're immune to the blue things as long as you're flashing.
Yeah, otherwise that pseudo screw attack is pretty useless, because most of the things you will try and use it against take more than one hit to die, so you'll just take a hit.
That's correct. Anyway, now that you've destroyed Fantoon, I like the idea of an elephant Cyclops, by the way, and Fantoon is actually revisited in Metroid Other M on the Wii. And he looks a lot like an elephant Cyclops there, it turns out.
Yeah.
That's one of the few times I've ever heard somebody make a positive reference to Metroid Other M.
Oh, I think I can go through this door. I'm actually... Yeah. The gameplay, I think, is decent. I'm a huge Ninja Gaiden fan, and it's the Ninja Gaiden Xbox team that made Other M. And so, there's a lot of the gameplay I like a lot. The problem is that the Ninja Gaiden franchise, the modern one anyway, is super sexist, and there's no way around that. Like, That's just one of the things you have to accept if you're going to play that game. And it doesn't work when the lead character is supposed to be this powerful woman who's reduced to, like, basically ashes by this loser dude the entire time. I will say I'm very much excited for Metroid Prime 4 on Switch.
Oh yeah. A new Metroid Prime game and one that I can play on my commute to work on the Metro. I can't wait.
I am still yet to pick up a Switch. I was going to do it this weekend actually, but then Addie offered to buy me the computer instead. So I went with
Take the computer.
Yup, that is what happened. So I'm gonna use my first paycheck to buy the Switch.
Awesome.
Well, they're gonna keep putting out good stuff for it, so.
That's the hope.
I've
Alright,
been finding so many moves.
since I
with
have
Mario.
the grappling beam, I will use it. I usually just accept the spikes damage here.
Huh. But it's so fun! You can swing. You know, you gotta, like, go with the things in the game that bring you joy.
It is actually a very good grappling beam mechanic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard only good things from the Switch, and the very little I've played at Andrew Lors' house, for those people on the stream who know who that is. It's been fantastic. Mario Odyssey is so sick. Can't wait till the fall when I get it. Generally speaking, I think a grapple has more potential than the hookshot hemophiliac, but that's because I grew up playing Bionic Commando.
One other thing I love about this game is how it pretty much, every time you get a power-up, it forces you into a situation where you have to make use of that power-up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's optional because people like you just really skip that with the bombs that you jumped up the alchemy, as you called it.
Right, but I get what you're saying for sure.
Yeah. And my favorite instance of that is right just now when you got the gravity beam. The game's just like, oh, we're dropping you in the lake. Have fun.
Maybe a watery tart can throw a sword at you and you can become king. I never get sick of silence. Maybe it's impossible to because it's almost 12 tone. It's so random.
Yeah. I've had a student tell me it was 12 tone before, and it is actually very close.
It's
but
very
not
close.
quite.
It's not.
It is not.
And as I always say, it reminds me of the Westminster chimes. Da, 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 da. It's like an atonal Westminster chimes. That kind of reminds you of time passing, in a sense, even though it's got like a timelessness. All those rooms are kind of safe areas where nothing's happening.
Yeah.
So it is both making you aware of time and sort of suggesting that it's suspended. At least that's what I took from when Will gave his talk on this, and he played that track and was talking about that. That, you know, it's normally when we have like a trope of safety, it doesn't look like this. So like you really feel like truly safe in the game.
I think that this track right now is underrated. And we're about to lose it actually, so I'll sit here a moment. I like the piano riff. Alright, up we go.
Oh my god, that was fun. So my students that did the 2 game recitals, we did this track. It was gorgeous as a violin viola duet.
There is an impossibly good version of this track on OC Remix.
I bet. It's so stunning.
And it's a vocal edition.
I was
by Jill
thinking you were
Aversa.
talking about that one. Yeah, Kindred. It's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah, I remember Mel describing it as like an effed up lullaby. I was like, yeah, it is.
That's how it gets treated.
Mhm. It's like unsettling.
Come on.
But it's definitely got
There we
this
go.
placid feeling to it. It's kind of like underwater
Oh, what?
too.
There it is. I probably didn't need to get this now that I think of it, but that's okay.
You wanted to make sure everybody got to hear that jingle at least one more time.
That's right.
So good. So creepy. I need somebody to write me words for this.
So right now
And
we're
then,
about to do a
like-
glitch.
like,
I
I'm gonna
paused for a
actually
reason
use it
here.
As a lullaby
And-
someday.
It turns out that the gravity suit affects your momentum in the water, restores you to normal momentum. But if you switch it off right as you're jumping, you maintain all of your strong vertical momentum and can make stupidly high jumps with the suit. So then, what we do for jump 2 here, which is hard to wall jump, that's why we're doing it this way. You turn off the suit right as you're jumping, and you can make this jump up.
Oh.
I never knew that. I always spent like 8 million years trying to make all those grapple beam swings.
Wow. So Ryan, do you like research these techniques, or are a lot of these just like you picked them up from screwing around with it when you were younger?
Well, that varies by game
Yeah.
that we do on the stream. For Super Metroid, like, I've been playing this game since like 1996, and I just happen to know. And for games that I know super well, I just do it. And it turns out that this is among the most documented games in all of history, in terms of like weird tricks that you can do. I don't think there's any game with as much extensive documentation on weird mechanics as Super Metroid. Oh, here's your Spore Spawn music one more time.
It's so Twilight Zone.
Unfortunately, you only hear it for like a minute here because he dies so quick.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, Spore Spawn can go on a while because he has so much.
Yeah.
It's actually possible to kill that boss faster than that, but that's fast enough for today's purposes. Anyway, the reason I know all the tricks to Super Metroid is because until this year, Games Done Quick has run like amazing races of Super Metroid where they put 4 players on the same stream and see who will finish the game first. And there was actually one race where they all finished within 10 seconds of each other the entire game. because everybody had just learned all of the stuff.
Oh snap! Text message from Will Gibbons. His book came today.
Ah.
That means the copy I pre-ordered should come pretty soon here.
Awesome.
I've already read it, but I'm excited to own it.
Oh man, as somebody who actually owes Will Gibbons a book chapter on Saturday, I don't want to talk about Will Gibbons' books right now.
Right.
That is forthcoming.
Forthcoming from all of us, sweetie.
Forthcoming.
Emphasis on the fourth. Or maybe, I don't know, emphasis on the not here yet.
So, Jarel, are you aware that you can speed boost into him and gain permanent speed boost status?
Yes, I've never pulled it off, but I've seen it done.
Okay. As long as you were aware it's possible, I don't think I'm going to take the time to save state and do it myself. Because I'm going to show off the other cool way to kill him. But basically, you don't have to fight this boss if you don't want to. There are a variety of epic ways to get around fighting him. And yeah, here. I tried for the speed boost. We'll do this instead.
Yeah, I will say for folks on the stream, if you are unaware of Will's forthcoming book, it's called Unlimited Replays, and it's about classical music and gaming, game music in classical territory, and it's fascinating. And my favorite chapter is based on a conference paper he gave a couple years ago on the game Catherine. Probably my favorite. It's going to be, well, I already know it's fantastic because I read a draft, but I'm really excited to own it and not just have it as a PDF, like a furtive PDF on my desktop. I own way too many people's books that way.
That's the nice part about academics, though, is we take care of each other and we have no money. So it's like, oh, please just send me the PDF of that thing I was supposed to buy of yours. That's a very common request for us.
Yeah, and actually, there have been times where I've mentioned that, like, oh, I can't afford, this book because it's so expensive, and then somebody, like, somehow finds a way to be like, oh, Dana should write a book review of this book, so you have to give her a free copy.
I can promise you now that when this book of mine finally gets done, none of us are obligated to buy it.
Why? Who are you publishing with?
It'll be ridiculously expensive, most likely, and it's also unrelated to video game music, so nobody here is probably going to be interested in anyway.
Is it your, like, dissertation stuff, though?
Yeah.
I might buy it anyway. We'll see.
Me too. I took 3 medieval seminars with Gabriella Curry as part of grad school.
I know. I'm just saying that if it is expensive, no, I will not feel bad if anybody says, yeah, I'm not buying that. Just tell me what you said, and I'll be like...
See, I have to buy it because then I'm going to awkwardly make you sign it at a conference. Because I like having actual inscriptions from my friends in my friends' books.
I have made people sign books for me before.
Nice.
So because I'm not in the field, and I'm only just like meeting or talking to a lot of you for the first time, thanks to Ryan, honestly.
Hello, welcome.
I don't know a whole lot about it. The field I've learned a lot more about recently, and it's fantastic. But I don't know a lot about the books you're putting out. So basically, what I'm saying is, please let me know so I can buy your stuff.
Yeah,
absolutely.
We're all going to be in this book. It's on music and RPGs. So
that's right. And actually, Jarel will be in the book too, because he stepped up and did that damn transcription.
Oh, that's right.
Didn't want to do.
That's awesome.
So now I also owe Jarel a book chapter this weekend.
Nice. I almost offered to do it for you, but since I'm writing my own chapter, I was just like, I don't have enough spoons for that.
I hate transcription. I don't know why.
I live for transcription. It is like...
Ooh. Oh, by the way, the pseudo charge screw attack, the one place it's useful, right there, so you don't get hit.
I love transcription and jazz band in high school are how I learned music. So I will forever love transcription, even if it gets tedious sometimes.
Yeah, for me, it was. We had a rock orchestra at my high school.
Hey guys, I'm gonna fast forward around. Hold on.
I'm actually trying to maybe bring video games live to work with them.
Ooh.
I just reached out to Mr. Tellerico et al. So, because they actually are a perfect match. You know, I've seen a couple VGL concerts, and they're exactly the type of ensemble that I think he's always wished he could play with. Like, they do exactly his stuff. They have a professional lighting rig, guys that run soundboard. They have full complement of acoustic and electric instruments. And though they're high schoolers, they are damn good players. So I'm pretty excited. I hope that, you know, it's feasible. So that's something I'm hoping we can make happen. But I'm actually doing a couple arrangements for them over break. They have like 240 songs in their rep, but you know, there's some really random stuff in there. Like I saw they did all the small things by Blink-182. I was like,
Nice.
I was like, what? There's all this stuff from when I was in high school. I was like, what is this? Why is this on here? But you don't have like Hooked on a Feeling or like Owner of a Lonely Heart or like. So I'm gonna do Owner of a Lonely Heart, Hooked on a Feeling, and possibly one more over break, which their spring breaks this next week. So it's gonna be like after I finish the chapter, send that in. I'm gonna make money.
Somebody had wanted me to go out to PAX East, and it's not like I don't want to go, but man, money, you know? Traveling is so expensive.
Doug, that latter one gets my vote. Please do that. That would be amazing.
I'm trying to remember. We had at OSU we did like a Joseph Schwantner thing the one year. I'm trying to remember. There was a particular piece that one of my good friends, Katie, who's a French horn player, she just wrote on the top of the music, "Do not schwant," because it was like a really hard part.
It's awesome.
I now can't remember what piece it was. It was great.
By the way, I've been like running through this underwater area. This is actually out of the way. Technically, it's not worth the time, but I don't care. I'm grabbing it anyway. And that is the plasma beam. And it just makes you super good, which is why I'm getting it. With 2 exceptions, every enemy in the game will now freeze on the first shot and die on the second shot.
Yeah, that is nice.
It's just peace of mind.
I feel like this is a kind of underappreciated song too, actually.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
very atmospheric. I love that. Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. That's my favorite moment.
Yeah.
The timbre on that. What do we call any of the instruments in this track? Like, there's obviously voices. But
There's some pitched percussion of some kind.
right? Like, kind of a weird flute?
Right? Yeah, something like that.
Oh, hey. Now we're back to this one.
Only for a brief moment.
Yeah. It's one of the most melodic tracks. We get a lot of atmosphere above all else in this game.
Yeah.
I prefer Super Metroid's version of it, but I really appreciate it when Metroid Prime 2 brought that track back.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I feel like the Metroid Prime sequels don't get enough credit for doing awesome stuff.
Yeah, I loved 3. And I could very easily recognize 2's issues, but I still definitely enjoyed my time with it.
Right. I've actually spent more time with 2 than any of the others, just because that's what I had.
I think a lot of the problem people have with 2 is that they played it the way I originally played it, where anytime I got to a one of the fields in the Dark World or Dark Ether that replaced your energy, to stay there until your energy was maxed out. And you're really not supposed to do that. You're really just supposed to keep going. Otherwise, you add like an extra 10 hours to the game and it just gets tedious.
Yeah, for sure. So, the gravity jump, by the way, that I did to skip that water sequence earlier, this is technically an underwater area. And if you come here without the space jump from beating Dragon, you can gravity jump to get up here. That's where most people learn it. Alright, here's Ridley's theme. And this has now become the most used track in the Metroid franchise. Uh-oh. That's not good.
I mean, it's pretty iconic.
It's a really good track. Though, as somebody argued last week on Metroid Zero Mission, I feel like the Metroid 1 Ridley theme deserves a little more credit.
Yeah, that theme was very interesting. I'm not gonna say this one is more, like, not straightforward, but
This one's a little more bombastic for, like, the late game. And by the time you come at it, both here and in Metroid Prime, you feel like the late game is here.
Yeah. But the Metroid 1 Ridley track I felt like it took more chances in being more unique.
Oh, I hate bosses like this where you're like, this thing that's been safe before is now dangerous. Like, what can I trust?
Oh, I need to demo something really fast. If you throw a super missile at this boss, he catches it and throws it back at you.
Oh, nice.
Isn't regular missiles, doesn't he do something for that too?
Yeah, he dodges them.
Which is interesting because he like dodges into the background, and no other enemy in this game like makes use of the 3D space like that. So
right,
they put a lot of effort into how many ways this guy can just dodge everything you throw at him and brutally kill you if you're not good at this game.
Speaking of which, I'm actually running a little low on energy and don't know what to do about that right now.
5-hour energy.
It turns out that this route just doesn't have a lot of energy tanks. But
5-hour energy gives you 5 hours of energy.
We can go to this room for it. That's what we can do. There, now we're good. You must have at least 2 energy tanks to beat the game, and unless you're like a perfect god, you must have 3. That room is really hard without the screw attack.
I will say it's sort of funny that this is the week where the visuals of us don't work because I'm wearing my Super Metroid shirt, so I'm actually appropriately dressed.
Well, I can see it, and it makes me happy, and that's
it is very nice and very appropriate.
I'm going to continue to wear it for all the other Metroid games because I don't have a shirt for every individual game. I figure if I just have one per franchise, I'm kind of good.
I think, Dana, what you meant to say is that you don't have a shirt for every game yet.
That's true.
Yeah.
One per month is my rule.
Yeah.
It's these
know, after
guys,
we get
by the way,
through
they don't
our-
freeze,
That's-
which is interesting to me.
They look like. They always look to me like weird women with like beehive hairdos. I know that they're like those are like insect parts, but next one you see, check out their head. It kind of looks like a sideways like it's a
Okay.
beehive hairdo.
We have to come back up here very shortly, so we'll see it then. You might have seen a passage open up to the left among speedrunners that's known as the power bombs of shame. Because,
Shame.
yeah, because you only have to get them if you run out at that point.
So that hallway you were just in with these spiked platforms dropping, that is very Castlevania-ish, actually.
I agree with
Just the
that.
design of that.
Oh man, Ryan, when are we gonna do Castlevania?
I want to
Talk
do
about
I want to do Symphony of the Night so bad.
Great music.
Symphony is so amazing.
That could be my April shirt if I knew that down the line. I actually already have my Castlevania shirt picked out in my favorites. So
Nice.
I think 1 and 2 have some of my favorite soundtracks on the NES. Them and the Mega Man.
Castlevania 2 is one of those games where it's like at least a decade ahead of itself.
Yeah.
I feel the same way about Final Fantasy 12, actually.
Mm. Yeah, it's like so many modern RPGs are doing now what Final Fantasy 12 did a decade ago.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely true.
Alright, boss time. We must save and we must not fast forward. That was a bad idea.
Hey, Ridley. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2.
This is the hardest version of Ridley, by the way.
I feel like this is just like every panicked boss theme trope out there. A regular meter, you know, low range overall. All these things are sitting low.
For sure.
Incredibly busy timbre. This like apocalyptic rising thing. Very chromatic.
Alright, and that's all 4 bosses down, so now we can go finish it.
Oh yeah, Spoony Bar, just like everything in Castlevania is just like, even Castlevania 1 was basically a hard rock soundtrack on NES.
Yeah. I hit send before I finished my my thing there. There was a really good paper in Action about like rock listening. Yeah, Bill O'Hara, thank you. About rock tropes in Mega Man.
One of my favorite Castlevania tracks of all time is actually a very, very Baroque track. It's the long library theme from Castlevania Symphony of the Night. And
There's a lot of
I can't
smart
come up
use
with
of-
a better harpsichord piece in video game music. I mean, we're kind of looking at slim pickings, I guess.
Yeah, very smart use of the Baroque when it shows up. Because like they're clearly they're trading in like the Gothic aesthetic, right? But in a way that doesn't just feel like they're just inserting actual Bach, although they do quote Bach time to time.
Does Symphony of the Night quote Bach directly as well?
Oh gosh, I'd have to go back and listen to that score. Heart of Fire.
That I know.
Oh my god, they really do like look like beehive hair.
Thank you.
Yeah, they do.
This is my one of my favorite games we play on the stream is like, how did Julianne Grasso imagine the sprites when she was a kid? Because she always has like, there's like a lady in Final Fantasy VI that like is collapsed, and she's like, oh, I always thought it was a weird egg. And we all kind of looked at it and we're like, oh, I guess I see that.
I remember that.
You know, pixel art can be just so evocative, but it can also be a little too open-ended. But yeah, I was really excited to see that Mega Man paper this year because for years I have been saying, oh man, I really want to write a Mega Man paper, but I have nothing to say about it other than this music's great, right?
Yeah, there are a lot of games where I'm like, this is incredibly badass. Also, can I just talk about that for 20 minutes? Like,
yeah, you're like, that's not a paper.
Right.
My thesis statement can't be this music is sweet. Pretty much the first 6 Mega Man games are. Whenever I get that a lot, I tell people what I do. That's often something at the Nerd Bar at SideQuest. We were talking about those places earlier. They're always like, "Oh my god, like video game music? That's awesome. What's your favorite game score?" And that's such a hard question, but usually my go-to answer is the first 6 Mega Man games. I'm counting them as one thing. Like, don't make me choose beyond that.
That really is an impossible question, honestly. It's just there's too much good stuff.
Between Mega Mans, it's probably 3. Built on that intro. It's like the best title of the game, pretty much ever. I love it.
These days, I normally say that it's Final Fantasy VI, but it varies, though that is definitely in conversation to be the best.
Yeah, it is. That Chrono Trigger has always been near and dear to my heart. What else have I loved? And then, I have the ones that I'm like are a little more quirky. If I'm feeling like being a little hipster about it and surprising people, I'll say stuff like Deja Vu on the NES. It's like the most perfect film noir score.
It's hard to hear it all, though, because you have to actually play the game.
Yeah, and the game like a lot of right? Like, you're wandering around and you're just like, oh, let's go down this alley, dead.
Deja Vu and Uninvited are both like Shadowgate for masochists.
And Deja Vu in particular, like, shouldn't have been an NES game. Like, the interface is too computery. It needs a mouse.
Yeah, all 3 of those games run on the same engine, and they're absurd.
Yeah, and it's tedious. It's very
Weren't all 3 of those games originally Mac games that got ported to the NES, I think?
Yes,
they are. Actually, let's go up
mouse
here.
thing makes a lot of sense then.
Yeah, it shows, because like, they didn't really change the mechanic.
Alright, up.
But I will say, working with the kids doing the video game music, I had appreciated a lot of these modern game scores, but hearing them do things with it made me love them more. So like, I liked Shadow of the Colossus, but I really fell in love with it because of what they did with it. They arranged like 90% of the Undertale soundtrack, I swear to God. Like, they were obsessed with it.
I hate myself.
Every time they handed me anything, I was like, dang, this is so good.
Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. I'm hoping to do Final Fantasy IV soon, though I'm going to wait until Julian Grasso is not busy anymore. But now that I have my nice computer, we can run the PSP edition on the stream.
Cool.
And that actually provides the opportunity to switch back and forth between the remix soundtrack and the original at will, which will be really nice.
Really awesome. Yeah.
I keep trying to come to a decision on this, but oddly enough, my mind is going back to the North American soundtrack for Sonic CD. I think is like possibly choice. I don't know if it's my favorite, but it's in my top 5.
That's the best winning fanfare for sure. Ba, 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 da,
oh yeah.
Ba, ba, da.
You feel so triumphant.
You do.
I like to tell people that I'm partial to NES scores because it's mostly 4 parts. And I'm, at heart, a string quartet musician. So there's just something about that, the textures and the way they use them. They've always spoken to me. Oh my god, Katamari. I was gonna bring up Katamari. It's like probably one of the catchiest theme songs I've ever heard in my life.
For sure.
I mean, how that happens. I feel like every year at Nashville, somebody brings up Katamari and everyone goes, nah, 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 nah. Like we're all just right there with it.
I need to learn that. I'm getting an automaton for Easter, and I need to be able to play that on automaton, I think. I actually need to buy Call of Duty World War II. I haven't bought one of those games in a long time, but Will Roger did the score, so I need to buy it.
Yeah,
He knocked it out of the park.
That's cool. Well, I will check that out.
I like how watery Torian feels. The water samples here, somehow, even though we're in technology land now, it sounds more watery than Meridia does.
To me, it's like science experiments bubbling. Like
yeah.
Like freaky mad scientist. Oh hey, Metroid.
So it took me a long, long time of playing this game before I realized that this is actually a remix of Torian's theme from the NES game.
Yeah.
It's just really hard to hear at first.
Subtle, right?
Come on, separate from me so I can do the cool trick.
Just mostly that bubbling is like the salient part of that texture. Don't mind this awful squeaking. That's me taking the Four Roses cap off.
I was wondering what that was.
Yes. Single barrel. Four Roses single barrel. It's quite good.
I think there's something slightly detuned about that as well.
Yeah.
That's there.
By the way, I did it once. You can actually stack Metroids in this game. If you let more than one glom onto you, then you can kill them all with the same set of missiles.
It's like in Mario Odyssey when you can make Goomba stacks.
It is, yeah, you can make Metroid stacks.
And then it really raises some dark questions about, like, are you the Borg? Is the hat the Borg? Do you just assimilate all of the Goombas and turn them into a singular consciousness? Because I'm pretty sure that's what's happening.
So listen to the sound effects here. Jarel mentioned this earlier.
Yep. Like, oh, hey, buddy.
Also, it's possible to dodge it and get out of this room without it hitting you. I've never done it. Yeah, by the way, Chris is correct. It's all sampled sounds on the SPC here. There is no FM synthesis on the Super Nintendo.
Yes, indeed. Oh, yeah, I wasn't paying any attention to this discussion.
The Ludomusicology Discord, by the way, has a couple super experts in game hardware sounds.
They do the work that none of us want to.
That's right. People who have, like, super awesome technical questions.
There's
Go
really
ask-
awesome discussion going on in there.
Go
Definitely
ask the moderator.
recommend everybody.
Kevin Burke's research
Burke.
specialty is, like, video game hardware.
And
By
if
the
Kevin
way-
Burke doesn't know, he knows who knows.
People who have played a lot of this game might be aware that I actually don't have enough missiles to get the job done right now.
Oh, shit. And how are you gonna fix that, son?
I will show you. I will do it like this. If you don't have enough missiles to, oh, I messed it up. Okay, we'll have to load once. Alright. I hate that I messed it up. Twice. Ah. I will get this to work because it's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, Ludomusicology Discord, it's not limited in any way. Like, y'all can, anybody that
I know
thinks
what
that
it
this
is.
stuff is interesting can join. I don't have the
There.
link on me because I'm not at my normal computer, but we can post that. I know it's been on Twitter a couple times.
You have to spin jump on it, then jump through. Haha, there we go. And now, I don't need to have missiles, because you'll notice none of these other things spawn. You can just jump through. And I do have enough missiles to take out Mother Brain.
Hey, Mama.
There we go.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and pull up the link. I know Kevin's posted it.
Yeah. Jumping through the Zebatites there, by the way, is actually very much easier than it looks like. There's just a
Oh my
little
God.
gimmick you need to learn.
I've got the
She's
link.
so-
I'm posting it in chat now.
She is. Oh, thank you. Beat me to it. She is so terrifying. Look at her. She has some like awesome thighs though. Like, I want to know what her routine consists of. Thighs. This is the people who talk.
Oh, I have to reload, guys.
I
lost too much health. So, let me talk about that really quick after I get the jump trick again. It turns out that many speedruns, including my own here, hey, first time, end in that Mother Brain fight early because you lose too much health and you can't finish the fight. And I'll explain
Oh,
that
right, because if
momentarily.
you have to get through at least one shot of her super beam.
Right, you have to have 300 health to survive the rainbow beam. And I did not have it, so I had to reload. And the actual world record runs of this game enter the room with exactly 300.
Wow.
Hmm.
Because they can't waste time getting more than that.
Correct.
Wow. I'm always really impressed by those people. Like, I am a slow gamer.
So,
By
the thing to
definition.
watch for where you lose too much health, and I will save this time so we don't have to do that again, you have to watch Mother Brain's hand. It shoots a red beam that'll do 200 damage, and it
Whoa.
has ended many a race. Everything else can hit you, the hand, though, must not.
It's absolutely horrifying. Like, spikes are not supposed to come out of your brain like that. It's just not healthy.
There it is. And now I win.
So, yeah, like, this to me sounds like... I don't know. Here we go. Rainbow beam! This is so annoying the first time you do it.
Oh,
You're just
yeah.
like, you're like, do something! Ah!
Yeah. Well, it's actually possible. There's a certain health range where she can just kill you with those random attacks.
So badass.
I was really happy when I beat AM2R last, and I need to mail that copy back to you now, Ryan. Now that I'm done with it, thank you for that. But,
Yeah, no problem.
yeah, I beat it last week, and I was so happy that. Should I talk about that? I feel like that might be spoilers.
Yeah, that's fine.
The game's been out for like a year now.
Right,
Um,
yeah.
They brought the baby Metroid back to do the same thing she does in this fight, against the final battle with Ridley, like the unexpected final battle with Ridley at AM2, or not AM2.
No,
sorry,
Samus
and,
Returns on 3DS.
Samus Returns, yeah.
It's like
So that
surprisingly
has
bad.
that fight has like 3 phases. On the third phase, Baby Metroid will actually start flying in and do the same thing as here, lock heads with Ridley, steal energy, and give it to you.
Nice.
And it's so badass to have you and the Baby Metroid basically fighting Ridley together before you take off. Oh.
This made me so sad when I was a kid.
By the way,
Aw.
the best part of Metroid Other M is that they recreate this in glorious 3D. So if you haven't seen that, I highly recommend it.
Also, the best part of this game is how now you can just like murder her.
Yeah,
Like you're so angry at her now for killing the Baby Metroid. Just like,
notice that you knock her neck backwards every shot now.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is so cathartic.
Yeah. But man,
It's so sad.
so sad. I will say, so every year, Christmas cookies with the family, we do these like lemon sugar cookies. And they're amazing. And we do different cookie cutters, and I have a Pac-Man set. So I have one of the and we never confine ourselves to what it actually used to be. So I made a Pac-Man ghost. Like I decorated it with green and red sugar. Like I
Awesome.
made it for my brother, and I set up a photo, and he was just like, "That's the best one." And now we have the Ridley boss theme. Like, we're coming full circle here. We were escaping the space station at the beginning, just like this, and then now there's space pirates.
I noticed that the space pirates are very vindictive. They really don't need to blow up everything behind them as you kill them, but they just they could be nicer.
They're gonna go down too. I think they'd be like running the heck out of there. But they don't.
Nope. Tempo here is slightly faster than prior versions, yes.
Yeah. Well, if it doesn't line up, it adds to the creepiness.
Are you gonna save the animals or kill them?
Oh, we're playing Metroid Fusion next week, so we have to save them so that they show
Ah.
up. Right? Yeah, if you blow out that wall, which actually does take a lot of time, it's like 25 seconds in a world where that matters, you get a very cool bonus little ending.
Good stuff.
And it's actually, it only changes the ending in the most tiny of ways. Oh, I'm best things. Okay, well. Anyway, that's the game. And how the ending changes is as the planet explodes, watch for a tiny purple speck to fly off to the right. That speck only appears if you go save the animals. And for music folks that don't watch speedrunning, every year there's a race of this, and they take a donation war to see if they save them or kill the animals, and it's like...
Oh, really?
Yep, and to the tune
So
of
people
like
vote with their money?
$12,000 at the end.
Oh my god, really?
I love the one year where this was like 3 or 4 years ago where let's
See, there's a
there we
speck.
go.
Did you see it?
Yep.
Yay!
So 3 or 4 years ago in the run there, most of the runs end with killing the animals. But 3 or 4 years ago, they saved them that year, and it was because at the last minute, somebody donated, like one person donated $10,000.
Yeah.
And his donation message was just, get wrecked, save the animals.
Aw.
Everybody lost it on stream. It was fantastic.
Yeah, that was amazing.
And I think because that was the year where they were actually making Twitch emotes based on what happened, so they actually made Twitch emotes of the animals.
Oh.
Yep. I'm really looking forward to Metroid Fusion next week. I think it's like hated for the wrong reasons, and I like it a lot.
In retrospect, it's a really well done game. It has its problems, but there's a lot to love about it.
Yeah, it's not nearly as open-ended as any of the others, but in terms of like playing an action game, it is fantastic. I'm also going to be running my ass off to finish it in 2 hours. Back when I was playing it a lot, I did once. To get the best ending in Metroid Fusion, you have to get 100% of the items in under 3 hours.
Oof.
And I have done it a single time. But it's either like practice enough to do that or finish that book chapter, and I'm probably going to finish the book chapter. We don't ever hear, by the way, this concluding part of this melody until the credits. You get the B section, essentially.
Yeah, it's true.
A lot of interesting ways this song gets reused throughout the franchise. I think the cockpit in Metroid Prime 3 is one of my favorite.
Yeah.
Just kind of the way it's not subtle. I mean, it's very clearly a remix of the theme, but they use less of it, kind of. I really like that.
Well, it's nice when they take like a recognizable bit from something and they turn it into something else.
Mhm.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I guess technically this song is actually Samus's theme. Like on the soundtrack, that's the name. So
Yeah.
Theme of Super Metroid, I've seen too.
Deer Force. It's the
Deer
best.
Force. I don't even know what Deer Force is, but that cracks everybody up every time we see that.
That's right. I'm guessing 48% before it comes up.
Is she always a blonde? Am I just like forgetting?
In the very first game, she's brunette.
She had green hair, right?
In-game green hair, in the ending, she's like a dark redhead.
So the interesting thing about Metroid 1 is that if you beat the game without getting the Varia suit, her hair is actually, well, she's a brunette in the first game. It's
Right.
kind of weird. But she's not, the green hair thing is because the sprite of the Varia suit changes her color. She's not originally green hair in the first game. She actually is like brunette-ish, blondish. So she really has been that way for the entire franchise.
That's right.
But only the best people who can beat Metroid 1 without getting the Varia suit ever really knew that. So that's why that's
Right, 'cause
impossible
most
for me.
of us just type in Justin Bailey, which gives you suitless Samus with Varia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I never knew about that until like 2 years ago. I stumbled on the sprite like image showing all the sprites in the game, and I'm like, oh, there is actually a brunette Samus in here. What is that?
Yeah. Anyway, next week we'll have to do Game Boy Advance. We'll do Metroid Fusion next week.
Yeah.
Cool.
This is so cool.
I will figure out a way to fix the video before next week, by the way. I'm really sorry about that, everybody.
The
No
1
worries.
week I'm wearing the exact shirt of the game we're playing.
I know.
The only time it's gonna happen.
We need to figure out a couple more smaller games to do until Julianne can come back and do Final Fantasy IV. Because then I want to do Final Fantasies 4 and 5.
Sounds good.
Well, how good are you at the castle? Like the first 2 Castlevanias?
The first one, The second one, I am stellar at.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Castlevania 2.
And
They're great
I would
music.
love to do Symphony of the Night if I could download. Oh, no, wait. Oh, this new computer doesn't have a disk drive. I was going to say I own the disk. I could just put it in. But
Weren't you saying something about having the PSP on this?
Oh, yeah, I could download the Dracula X Chronicles.
Yeah. That, of course, that has the redone voices, which I actually prefer, but a lot of people don't. So your mileage may vary.
It also has the Maria fight, though, which is totally badass.
Yeah.
And I'll bet non-PSP players have just never seen it. So, yes, if I do Symphony of the Night, I will do the PSP version. I forgot how awesome that is.
Mm-hmm. Also,
And,
I would say Dracula X Chronicles has the best rendition of the Rondo of Blood Dracula battle theme that I've ever heard. It's incredible. But that's not Symphony of the Night, so you won't even hear that.
We'll see if we need
And-
2 weeks
and
or
if
3.
if we ever need like a total palate cleanser, I own every Jackbox game. So we did that the one time where people on the stream joined in, and it was super fun.
We should
So-
do that at some point. Addie and I just played Jackbox 3 just ourselves the other day and had a blast doing it.
There's some great games.
I haven't played any of Jackbox 4 yet, so maybe after
yeah.
Metroid we'll take
One of my
a week
favorite
break.
ones on 4 is that new version of Fibbage, which doesn't really work unless you're playing with people you know. So doing it on like with the folks on the stream might not be too good. But it's great in that it's like Fibbage in reverse, where you're picking out truths.
Nice.
Ooh, cool.
It's a lot of
Love
fun.
it.
Fun. That's like my favorite variation at the board game bar. We play Guess Who, but where you're not allowed to use physical descriptions. So you have to make like very weird guesses as to the type of person they are based on how they look. So like, and you never guess ever. I did this with Reba when she was in town. It'll be stuff like, does my person like really make a big deal about how they donate to NPR?
Nice.
So
Oh
it's a
god,
good game to play at the game bar while you're drinking, but then you're like, "Is it Carl?" And it's like, "No, you never ever guess it right." But it's really funny.
That's
I just
awesome.
looked in Twitch and Cookster is like, you can stream your taxes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh man. If anybody could make it entertaining, it's Doug Perry. But man,
I have
taxes.
so many frigging 1099s.
Ugh.
Let's talk about how I never have withholding. Yay!
Hooray!
Freelancing.
All right, everybody. I'm watching the kids alone right now, so I'm gonna go to bed so I survive tomorrow. And I will see
Yeah.
everybody next week.
Okay, bye.